Hello, all, and welcome to Promises Kept, the Bible study in which we're taking a look at the promises of God found in our Bibles. And today we're on Promise Kept number 142 out of 150, so we're really rounding the corner towards the end here. And we have a good one, though, still for you in Ephesians. And this is Ephesians chapter number 6, and it's actually verses 1 through 3. And hopefully, as I read this, you're going to find it familiar. So let's read Ephesians 6, verses 1 through 3. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and mother. This is the first commandment with a promise, that it may go well with you and that you may live long in the land. So, where it should be familiar to you is this is actually one of the 10 Commandments. One of the 10 Commandments given by God to Moses, to the Israelites in the time of the Exodus. So that is what it's referring to, where it says, honor your mother and father. This is the first commandment with a promise. And of course, we're all about the promises here. This is the only one of the 10 Commandments that comes with a promise. That if they, the Israelites, were to honor their father and mother, then it would go well with them in the land and they'd live long. And that was the whole thing with the 10 Commandments and with all the other commandments that God gave during the time of the Exodus from Egypt. It was all about this promise of the promised land and them dwelling in it in safety and security and peace and milk and honey flowing. And the 10 Commandments were just the tip of the iceberg. But this one in the book of Exodus, I think it's 20, it outright says, do this and you will have this blessing in the land of being, it says the promise is it may go well with you and that you may live long in the land. So there's a lot hinging on honoring your mother and father. And as we know, as we've seen, these commandments still hold true. I mean, if you think of any of the 10 Commandments, they're just, even if you don't believe in God, they're life lessons. Don't lie, don't covet, don't murder, don't steal, don't bear false witness. Of course, the ones that get sticky if you're not a God follower is loving the Lord. He's the only God, and don't make any false idols and all that kind of stuff. But this one, it's in there. Honor your mother and father, along with don't commit adultery and keeping the Sabbath. It's in there. And it really is a roadmap for life, to honor your mother and father. And that means see them for what they are, the person that birthed you, the people that birthed you, the people that raised you, and the people that deserve your respect and your honor. Now, this gets very tricky because we all know somebody, or maybe we're in our own relationship with our parents, which is, it doesn't deserve honor, maybe, is what you're thinking. You know, that there was abuse, and maybe ongoing abuse, mental abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, and you still have to honor these people. Well, the commandment stands, the commandment with a promise stands that, yes, you have to honor your mother or father, even if they were abusive. So you might think, well, how do I do that? How do I honor them? Well, the most honoring thing that you can do with someone who is hurtful towards you is to set up a very, very strong boundary. And that boundary might be, I can't be in your presence, I can't even talk to you. And that sounds like it's not very honoring, but it is honoring when you think about the fact that at the end of the day, if you are in close relation, if you are in communication, if that is going to make things worse between you, or if that is going to make your hate and your anger grow more, well, God is not for that. God is for your peace, and God is for your not being tempted to sin into the sin of murder, which Jesus says is anger, really. Jesus ramped everything up, and people will say, well, I never murder anybody, but Jesus says if you hate them, you've murdered them with your heart. So God is not for that. And so sometimes boundaries are the most honoring thing that you can do with your parents. Know yourself enough to know that certain events, actions, speech is going to send you in a bad direction, in a sinful direction, is going to cause more disturbance between you. And set up the boundary before you ever get to that point. And the best way to think about that is a guardrail. The guardrails on your road are not set up off the cliff. They're set up on the road before you hit the edge of the cliff. So the boundary that you want to set up, which is honoring to your parent and to your relationship, is before it gets to the point of crashing off the side of the mountain. It's very important to know where your tipping point is and to put your guardrail before that. And that is an honoring thing. And it might sound counterintuitive, and you think honoring means I have to stay in there, I have to be nice, I have to be cordial, I have to be around them, I have to do things for them, I have to. That is not what God is saying here. Honoring sometimes means distancing, and on the other side of it, honoring sometimes means stepping up what you're doing. If you're just doing the bare minimum and you're really not helping and you're not keeping in contact and you're not loving on them or doing things, and they're good, decent parents who have done nothing but right for you, well, you do have to get into the game here of honoring your parents. And that way you'll have a promise here. You're going to have a promise where there's going to be wellness for you. Obviously, we're not talking about living long in the land of Israel, but we're talking about there's a blessing. And I think that God translates that into New Testament terms, and I don't know what that means, but the promise that's tucked in there of living well and staying well long in the land, that means something to God, and it means something in a spiritual way. So I'd say there's still a promise there for you for honoring your parents. So I would do it. Take God at His word. As we've seen here, we're on 142 promises already, some which have already come to pass. I mean, God, He will come through on what He says, and if He's saying there's going to be a blessing for you for honoring your parents, then do it. And again, don't take that to mean that you have to be a doormat and bend over backwards. It's really more of a attitude of the heart that God is looking for. How do you honor them with your heart? Do you talk badly about them behind their back? Are you making fun of them? Are you dismissive of them as they age? Those kind of things, they're not very honoring too. And so just think about where your heart is with these people who are aging, who are elderly, who are imperfect, who have tried their best with you, and do better. That's all God wants, is for you to think about what's honoring and do better with it, okay? All right, I'll see you tomorrow. Oh, we have homework typically for our Bible study here. I forgot to give it to you yesterday, so I'm just going to throw out some verses for you for the week to come, since this was short anyway, and you can take a look at these. These are the promises to come that we're going to be looking at for the next few days. The next one will be Psalm 55:22, and then Hebrews 13:5, and then Romans 8:38 and 39, and then Isaiah 53:5, and then John 5:24. And I think that takes us through next week, Tuesday, and then we'll get our final few, and then we'll be done. So anyway, with the homework, read them, study them a little bit, find which one speaks to you, and maybe memorize it so you have a promise tucked in your heart when things go badly that you can lean on, knowing that God is for you and He's gonna do that promise for you no matter what the circumstance. Okay? See you tomorrow. Bye.